Welcome to another episode of Calling Old Hollywood. I'm your host.
What's my name?
Kat Lively. I'm happy. I think I've found my place. Welcome to another episode of Calling Old Hollywood. I'm your host, Kat Lively, and my guest this week is the incredible Louis Gossett Jr.
Hey.
You don't need an introduction. Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, on the show this week. It's truly an honor. I mean, your life, your career, everything that you stand for is nothing short of inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
I appreciate that.
Love to start with the origin stories. How did you get started? It was kind of a fluke, right?
Yeah, I'm a post-depression child.
Mm-hmm.
So which means that people came from everywhere to come to the big city to live together.
Right.
And we take care of one another. So mine was Brooklyn. The Board of Education man was a man by the name of William Jansen, and he was sensitive to the intellectual cream of the crop that came out of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of came out of Poland and Czechoslovakia and those particular places. And then they turned in after the Depression to be the Unionists, but they were at that time it was called communists.
Right.
But you had the John Garfields and the Tallulah Bankheads and remember the name of Dalton Trumbull, who eventually won an Oscar with Country Girl with William Holden and the Princess.
Incredible.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden they had to go and change their names. Mm-hmm. These professors, it was the intellectual cream of the crop of America, and then start again from the boondocks of New York and Cleveland. So in the boondocks of New York was Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. The Board of Education man was William Jansen, and he sent them to Brooklyn, to Staten Island and places where they could hide and change their name. One of those English teachers, the great Gustav Blumberg, mm-hmm. from Czechoslovakia, Broadway producer and director. He was my English teacher. He says, "Hey, Louis, they have this Broadway show." I'd never seen a Broadway show. Mm-hmm. And he said, "They're looking for a kid to play this lead in this Broadway show. I'll tell your mom to take you down there on Sunday. What can you lose?"
Yeah.
So my mom took me down there on Sunday, and I got the part.
That's incredible. Was that so?
It's
What
lightning in a bottle. That's not what I wanted.
Yeah. Wasn't it crazy how it changes the entire trajectory of your life?
Absolutely. I wanted to be a basketball player and a doctor.
Yeah. So never thought
Too
about.
many relatives were dying, so I wanted to make sure I could be a doctor and take care of that.
Right.
And I could do it best by playing sports and get an athletic scholarship.
Completely.
And I got the scholarship, but I was already on Broadway before I got to college.
Turned it down.
Yeah.
When you look back and you think back on all of that, would you have done anything differently as far as that moment?
Oh, I don't know. I always think about if it was basketball, I should have gone to my left instead of my right. No. Mm-hmm. And you kind of learn as soon as you possibly can. It's my advice to everyone. Mm-hmm. There's always something planned for you that's better than what we can come up with. Get to that position where we can get the message early enough in our lives.
Yes.
Our lives reflect that.
Completely.
I made the mistakes, and I've come back, thank God I'm still here, to learn that it's not my choice. It's the choice of my higher power, whom I call God.
Absolutely.
To give me the suggestions on what to do and how to feel. And it makes it become easier. It's simple. It dissolves down to the thing of let go and let God.
So see, you've played some of the most memorable roles in film. You're an Officer and a Gentleman, you're in Roots, you're in, just all of these. What role do you think most represents who you are truly as a person?
There's a combination, but actually the strangest, the funniest looking guy was the guy from Another Planet, from Enemy Mine. His philosophy was quite simple. And he has found some of the things that Dennis Quaid said that were American. Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Ooh, that's our philosophy. Yeah. So we had to create him from scratch. So there had to be a writer there.
Right.
That knew how to write that fits what we desire.
Completely.
That's why that character kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
It's the basic human,
Basic, we call it human now.
Yeah.
But I think it's something higher than that. It's something better. I think it's more than our dreams and our wishes. I think it has to be real.
Right.
I think we're forced now to have confrontation with some of our evils and some of our assets. And now, if we don't do it with all of our assets at the same time, then the evils take over.
Right.
So now is the time for us to take care of one another. We have to teach these young folks something better.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Which is definitely what we're striving to do with all of this, is getting that message out. A little bit back to the early years, New York, in the 50s. That in itself is, I'm such a, the whole James Dean thing and all of that. So what was it like in New York, the Actors Studio, all of that?
Well, we were in Seventh Avenue. The best musician was Miles Davis.
Yeah.
And then we knew about Sonny Rollins, and we knew about Horn and Hardart, jelly donuts, and a pint of milk, and we'd walk from there to the Actors Studio and sit there. And in that room was Bruce Dern, Marlon Brando, Ralph Mika, Marty Landau, Lee Grant. We learned together.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and then I had a situation when I was young with a thing called Lifebuoy soap, and it got to my erogenous zone. They took it off the market, so it must have gotten other people too.
Wow, yeah.
So Marty Landau, the jokester, he was the playboy of the bunch, and so he had Marilyn Monroe come into the class and says, "Where's Lou?" So she sits next to me, she puts her hand on my leg, she says, "I want to do a love scene with you." Of course, I had to leave the room. I had to leave the room, but it was set up. Marty Landau set me up.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But whatever was in that soap, they took off the market.
Oh my God.
Marilyn Monroe, with her hand on my leg, let's do a love scene together.
Oh my goodness.
Reeking of Lifebuoy soap.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
When I left that room,
completely.
everybody's going, "Really good." Yeah, right. Yeah, but they're some of the greatest actors I've ever seen or worked with. All of them.
I mean, you guys came from this bunch where I don't know, can you call it the Times? Do you call it, was it the Stanislavski Method?
I guess it was the Stanislavski Method. That's Lee Strasberg. He was one of the great actors of the old days.
Of course, yeah.
He was also in The Godfather. He played the Jewish mafia in Florida. Quite an actor, and all of his people. There was Frederick March. There was Spencer Tracy. There was some great actors that you could copy and get into. My teacher was Frank Silvera. Never played a black guy, but he always played Latins and Greeks. But they had quite a society of people that we had to copy. That's where Brando came from, with Jack Palance, and that's quite a society.
Did you go on to use that same method in future roles?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
it stick with you?
Well, it sticks with you. Once you do it so often enough, then you use what you need for that particular character. And then when the films and the camera starts getting better, you adjust your technique so they can use the most of that new camera and the new techniques and stuff. And so you grow with it.
Right.
If you don't grow with it, you don't work.
Completely. Yeah. And you know, I'm sure you found ways to evolve it and make it into your own and have your own.
We study from one another.
Yeah, yeah.
I learned a great deal off of what I watched Sidney Poitier do.
Amazing.
A great deal watching Brando. My favorite actor was Anthony Quinn. And he did so many wonderful things, and I copied his approach to that character. I got a chance to talk to him.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy I had a nice conversation with yesterday, Bruce Dern. He was here.
Yeah.
So we kind of fed off one another.
Wanted to touch on, you were on an episode of The Haunting of where you talked about that Louisiana, the hotel room.
Oh, yeah.
With that crazy experience that you had.
Well, the doctor could say it was indigestion because the barbecue was delicious.
Yeah.
And I went to sleep at about 45 minutes later, and it could have been, the barbecue. But the smell was the same because I had done a thing called Gathering of Old Men.
Right.
And we had to shoot in the sugar cane plantation. And it was reeking of a combination of burnt sugar, cauliflower, some kind of egg. You could smell it in your kitchen. But on top of it, it was human being smell. It was not all negative, but it got me a little upset.
Yeah.
But it tells the story of all the beatings and the deaths, and all that stuff when those slaves could not do anything but cut that sugar cane. So it was still in my system. And so now, fade out, fade in, the barbecue is over. I ate my butt off. I go to bed, and I start dreaming about outside the window is this sound. Doing, doing, doing. And I see the shadows in the windows, and next thing I know, I went back to sleep. And next thing I know, they're at the foot of my bed, getting me up out of the bed, telling me that they need to tell me a story.
Yeah.
That
And
could
these
be
are like
deja vu.
spirits, like
Yeah.
figures.
Yeah, okay, but I saw the faces.
Yeah.
And so we got, I guess, to tell this story on that television show. It was real. It could have been indigestion. It could have been
Highly
both,
doubtful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some strong
Yeah.
indigestion.
Yeah. The music was safe. The smell was
Yeah.
in my entire hotel room. It's burnt sugar, butterscotch, kind of combination of macaroons or whatever it was. And others could identify with that smell, you know.
Yeah.
That was Holly Hunter's first movie. Will Patton's first movie, and the great Richard Widmark was in it.
It's amazing.
We kind of mixed it together. It was quite a very special thing. I would like to see it on TV more often.
Completely.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful
Yeah.
film. When you think about, that experience seemed very profound in a way that it, you connected back with all of this history. I mean, Louisiana is haunted. It's all get
that's
out,
full of
but,
haunted. Yeah, Texas too.
But it was like, you were there and you were in the thick of all the history and stuff. Have you ever felt like, given especially, the things that's going on right now with like Black Lives Matters, all that stuff, have you felt like it was your duty with some of the roles that you played to just make that profound impact and make sure that history?
Well, it's a social duty. I give you a specific example. After winning the Oscar from an officer and gentleman, that was the image that young men, black especially, wanted to get to this dignified man.
Right, the
and
sergeant.
they started copying the
head
sergeant.
guy, yeah.
My next offer was the thing in Pulp Fiction, and he had all kinds of dirty words, and I chose not to take that part.
Yeah.
I got punished by it, and Sam Jackson took it.
Right.
But you see what he had to say and how he had to act. I could not do that officer and gentleman character and that Pulp Fiction character.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have heard it. I would have heard about it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't. And so that was the thing. I didn't do any of the cop movies. Didn't do any of those. And I didn't stop working. I kept getting the famous parts and stuff, and working with my old friends, my old great directors, the Arthur Penns and people.
Completely.
So I'll never regret that.
Yeah.
I won't regret that. That black exploitation. I won't regret it.
The roles that you were offered, chose to do, are some of the most significant and memorable in film history. And how do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, well, the teaching in actor studio is you get to challenge yourself. So you only want to challenge yourself. Create something from another planet who has to walk, think, and talk differently than anybody that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was turned down by the top 15 actors in Hollywood. Dustin and all these people. But I was hungry. I wanted to see if I could possibly do it.
Yeah.
And I was taught in the
It's a
studio.
challenge.
Yeah, this is a challenge. So I got myself a ballet dancer, a pantomimist, and a physical fitness guy. And they got my body in shape to be able to spend long hours with your feet flat on the ground, squatting. It's not as easy as you think.
Completely,
And
yeah.
after spending about 10 minutes there and then getting up like you do it every day and speaking, and I can't do it now unless I work out. And certain things like that. And then you have to swim a certain way and talk a certain way.
Right.
Before you knew it, there it was.
You did it.
Oh, some fun.
Little refinement and a little,
Yeah.
it's like you got it. It wasn't impossible,
No,
but you
yeah.
stepped up to the challenge. And
That's
you
it.
did
It's a
it.
challenge. The
Yeah.
challenge of being a Marine. That's a
Right.
challenge. That's 6 weeks with them. And so you do that. I never had been on the horse. I was in a merry-go-round, and I played a cowboy. So I had to learn how to stay on that horse because he tried to get me off,
Yeah,
But once you succeed in that, you feel better about yourself.
completely. Has it always been, embracing challenges, embracing risks for people listening? Do you want to tell them what you think the importance of that is? Like you're saying, you've got to do it.
Well, no, it's on the back of my T-shirt, but it says in the back of my T-shirt that there's no such thing as impossible. Once you starting line, you go for a 10 and you get a 5. Don't be disappointed because there's 5 more than you had when you first started.
Right.
Now go for another 10.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as impossible. And then we grow as a people.
Yeah.
And they say it's impossible to get rid of this pandemic. And all we need to do is agree with one another and work to a mutual sobriety, our mutual health, and it'll go away.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Just like chicken pox and measles.
We're not being asked to change the world. We're being asked to wear a mask and to be,
to cooperate with one another and do the proper research.
Completely.
And it's got to be free.
What do you think the biggest difference between films and actors, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s versus today is?
Well, one of the guesses, and it's an educational guess, is what we had to deal with was depression, hardships of all kinds, people dying too young, and we had to survive. Mm-hmm. We took very good care of one another. So we had a combination of answers from old cultures, and it was a nice combination of all those neighborhoods. The Upper East Side, Harlem, Brooklyn, Bedford-Stuy, and I came from one of those combinations of all of it. Mm-hmm. And we had to take care of one another.
Right.
So we had to go and get mashed potatoes or yams that came from our culture in order to bring a fever down. Mm-hmm. It was a combination of all those cultures. We did that freely, and as a result came this wonderful bunch of people that put Jackie Robinson in Brooklyn Dodger outfit and made the theater discover the Paul Robesons and Lena Hornes and Danny Kays and Arthur Millers. And that combination of people, we got to go back to that.
Completely. What do you think the missing element is these days?
The sensitivity of one another.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking care of themselves first instead of the original philosophy of what you do for the benefit of the whole family or the whole tribe, the whole city.
Very wise. Yeah, absolutely.
You always get yours if you take care of your family, your children, your neighborhoods.
Completely.
Yeah. They're growing up together.
I resonate with that. There's so much, there's so much separation going on in the world.
Yeah.
And when, in fact, it's, we're doing the opposite of what we really need, especially with all this stuff going on.
Well, you got these people who, the guy put his knee on this big guy's neck and killed him. And that man very easily, on the next week, could have saved his life. If we're together like fingers on a hand. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to be happening. Everybody's got the virus. He could have had the shot to save that man that killed him. Yeah. And these people killing shooting these Asians, they've got a medicine in their culture that might save your life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We need to be together.
That's what
of
we're
all kinds.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. It's like we call it the human race. We don't call it. We don't call it it's like it's not divided. It's the human. It's all of us.
It takes mankind to save mankind. Now the richest men in the world are very unhappy.
Yeah.
They're now they got all the medicine. They got all the money. Mm-hmm. Now what?
What do you think the importance of film and the arts is with bringing people together?
Well, it's going back to the originals. The court jesters, the people that tell the stories in the courts. Mm-hmm. Is we have a responsibility in our product now to deal with stuff that we have to think about on a daily basis.
Right.
We have to do it well so that they stay involved, and our children copy it. And that's where it comes from. The answers come from theater, music, film, and we have to do relevant stuff like that, both in comedy and music. It's happening, really.
Yeah.
It's happening in sports. We have those lessons. We have to pay attention. It breaks us up to being selfish, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And opening up our minds and our eyes and ears to the real answer.
More selfless than selfish.
Selfless,
yeah.
Selfless.
If you could see more types of roles in films moving forward, what kind of things would you like to see more? About certain things, situations or things in history, things that are just more.
Well, there are certain actors that I highly recommend. I love them. Yeah. I love what's happening with Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. So it's being done. There's some people like that. I'd love to work with Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. Dustin Hoffman. I love some great actors and actresses out there who are doing those relevant stuff.
Important things.
Important stuff. And
bringing things.
And it's a stretch. It's tough for them.
Yeah.
The Meryl Streeps, Denzel's doing some good stuff. Mm-hmm. But there's stuff out there to do.
Yeah.
And that's why we're on the map as artists.
Completely.
That's a major word we have to aspire to, artists.
That's what it's all about. What's something that people would be surprised to know about you?
That I'm really a woman? No. But I used to play basketball. What's surprising is I was drafted to the Knicks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're invited to the Knicks rookie camp. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was also offered a contract by Lorraine Hansberry in A Raisin and the Sun.
Right.
And I had more money in my pocket than they had in the bank.
Right.
You know, so the highest paid basketball player was Bob Cousy, $127,000 a year. And I had money in my pocket that I could go and get myself a Horn and Hardhearts jelly donut anytime I wanted to.
Right, yeah.
2 or 3 hot dogs and hang out with Lorraine Hansberry, Sidney Poitier, Ruby Dee.
It's amazing.
It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, completely.
It was a no-brainer.
And I think it's more, I mean, I haven't hung around a lot of athletes, but there's something about artists and actors. There's this kind of soul. There's this, this element
that's a society.
That is, you know, I've always resonated with that. And it's these people who just, they literally put their blood, sweat, and tears into these roles and these characters. It's incredible.
There was men, he came out of Detroit. His name was Lou Wasserman. Could come out of Broadway. They all kind of did. So we did. He got in Universal, and they did the movies of the week. And that's just started. So the first movie of the week was a thing called Companions in Nightmare, and it had Donna Winter, Ann Baxter, Melvin Douglas, Patrick O'Neill, William Redfield, Donna Winter from South Africa, and me. Yeah, my first job from New York there.
It's incredible.
So now I'm looking at all these guys, and I get goosebumps. I see all these people I've seen in movies. And I'm playing the detective. I got to find out who's murdering one another in this group therapy. And I got to scream at Melvin Douglas. And the director says, "Why don't you scream at Melvin Douglas?" I said, "No, that's Melvin Douglas. I can't scream at him."
Yeah.
Melvin Douglas said, "Hey, Louis, scream at him." Well, I had to scream at him. We had a good time. But Gig Young won an Emmy. There was a symbolic thing of we're all one family.
Yeah, completely.
That Broadway group of all those people, Shirley Boots and the Paul Newmans and all those people, we were one family.
And you knew James Dean, too.
Oh, yeah. We kind of grew up together and learned the Miles Davis music and all that.
So good.
And we brought that to California, and we started breaking down walls. Yeah. Because they had a Southern thing happening.
Completely.
And they kept separating me and James Dean. You go over there, and you go over there. No, that's not. So Jimmy had that card. Yeah. And was quite a man,
All of you guys are innovators, you know. It's like the very first of your kind. Yeah. But surely you had influences.
Frank Silvera, Lee Marvin, Shirley Booth, Sidney Poitier, Ruby Dee, a woman by the name of Rosetta Lenoir, James Earl Jones, Maya Angelou, Cicely Tyson.
Completely. And you worked with all of them.
Worked with all,
was that the live?
That was the Blacks.
Yes.
The Blacks, but there was others. But we stuck together. We ate together. We shared. We fought. We argued. Yeah. We came up with a finer product. And when we get back on the stage,
what is it that you loved about theater?
It's the same foundation.
Yeah.
In theater, you have to act. Of course, you have to get to the last seat in 3,500 seat theater. Do television, the acting becomes less. So you have a foundation of truth. Right. Where you do the least about acting, except for what they call a master, is motion pictures, because you're blown up. Right. You have to be careful, not doing something too big. And so that's the new study. Yeah. You have to be very authentic, but the acting in the theater is where it starts.
Was it ever difficult for you? Because with theater, you get one take. You know, if you're there
that's
in front
it.
of, that's
no
it.
Cut to,
you don't get to.
Yeah.
There's no standing around with coffee and waiting to go right. again.
Yeah,
you're on.
So if you study theater and you do very well, television is a piece of cake, and movies are even more of a piece of cake.
Do you think that people, for the aspiring actors and people watching, do you think they should start with theater?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to think about that.
Yeah, you just because that
absolutely, that's the bottom line.
Seems like the proper training. I mean,
proper training.
Learn your lines, get out there.
And get out there. And
you got one shot.
You got one shot. Make your mistakes, so that when you get up there, you don't make them.
Yeah, and then when you go to everything else, it's a little bit easier.
It's a great thing. It's better than working.
Yeah. That's what they say. If you do what you love, and you never work a day in your life. You know.
I'm very proud to see a member of my family acting.
It's awesome. I love it.
He's just turned 10. He knows what I'm talking about.
Do you want to come say hi?
I'm Xavier, and I'm 10 years old.
And you...
Am his grandson.
And you
That's
like
my heart.
acting.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So that's good stuff.
So he's starting at a nice age.
That's awesome. I love it. High five. Yes. We're going to see you in some big things. So yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And again, his dad is a director
It's amazing.
and
Yes.
a producer. I don't know where he got that idea. That's good stuff.
You could say anything, and you knew that it would reach the ears of everyone in the world. What would you say?
There is no such thing as impossible.
Mm-hmm.
If you add impossible to your dictionary, then you're never going to get to the moon.
Yeah.
You'll never slam dunk a basketball.
Right?
You'll never break a 100-yard dash.
Mm-hmm.
You never grow to the next level.
Profound advice. I hope everyone watching and listening
And we've got to
takes
do
that
it
to
together.
heart.
This is a hand sign.
That's it, yeah.
It's called unity.
So that A Racism Foundation.
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
the foundation?
Foundation is the elimination. It says the dictionary description is removal of the fact that one race is superior to another.
Yeah, completely agreed.
We need together. You look at sports, and you see here, everybody, look at Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
You people are Irish, you got Asians in there. Because everybody's living everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to band together.
Yes,
That's all we have.
It's a global problem. A global victory is what we need.
We have one planet. We have one life.
That's right.
We're here.
You can't go to the next thing because we're going to do the same thing there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we need to do it here.
I've never understood why people we make things harder than they have to be. You know.
Well, there's the money people. They need to make money on
Yeah.
our separation, and
Right.
then they get the money, and just like the people who have the money, they're miserable.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
somebody's got to make the point. I'm smart. I got all this money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I better change something
Right.
and spend this money on our mutual salvation.
Help others.
And
you
help
know.
others, yeah.
Bring everybody together.
That's what's going on. So,
Powerful and profound.
so my
words.
proud is my little guy over there.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Amazing.
I can't wait to see him. He wants to come back.
He's coming back. Thank you guys so much for taking the time
Yeah.
and just for doing all of this.
He produced a movie. His first one was the best one, called Forgiveness.
Amazing.
That's Satie.
Talk a little bit about you and your work.
Satie.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah.
So
That's my family. That's my hearts.
I love it.
Those are my people. And there's others that go with them.
It's a thing, these are this
Yeah.
is the things that really matter in life. It's right
Yeah.
here happening right
and they've
now.
got to plant the seeds so they carry on from where you left. And
Absolutely.
she's
What's
got
the
her,
channel
she's got
called?
her ducks in a row. Yeah.
Subscribe
she's
to
got some good
Collingwood
stuff going on.
Holly-
Yeah.
Yes.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yes.
Hit that thumb.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Thank
So
you
for
let,
having
let
us.
me know and send me a copy, please.
Absolutely. Let's do a joint sign off, shall
Okay.
we?
All right.
Alright.
You guys, we'll say your name,
I'm Xavier, and I'm 10 years old.
your name.
I'm Sati. I'm not telling you my age.
I'm Louis Gossett Jr. I'm not telling my age neither.
And I'm Kat Lively, and this has been another episode of Calling Old Hollywood. Thank you guys so much.
God bless you all.